Hey designer, you're listening to episode 86. In this one, I'm going to be talking about forced resets in your interior design business. We're covering what a forced reset is, navigating those inevitable moments of reset, and how you can apply what I'm sharing today with me this summer in CEO Summer School. This episode took a different direction than I anticipated, and I'm sharing some of my more personal stories, both in how I've been forced to reset at times and how I proactively choose to reset. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Interior Design Business CEO, the only show for designers who are ready to confidently run and grow their businesses without the stress and anxiety. If you're ready to develop a bigger vision for your interior design business, free up your time, and streamline your days for productivity and profit, you're in the right place. I'm Desi Cresswell, an award-winning interior designer and certified life and business coach. I help interior designers just like you stop feeling overwhelmed so they can build profitable businesses they love to run. Are you ready to confidently lead your business, clients, and projects? Let's go. Hello, designer. Welcome back to the podcast. As always, I am so glad to have you here with me today, whether you are someone who's been subscribed from the very beginning or you're new to the show. This episode was originally going to be just a little promo clip, one last invite into CEO Summer School, which is the new summer podcast series, and I'll definitely invite you to join me. I really think every one of you should join me in this new interactive podcast series where I'm going to be sharing a special episode every other week with you to do what I'm going to be talking about today. If you're already subscribed, amazing. If you aren't, let's get you following the show so that way you are ready when those episodes release. And then I'm also pairing a bonus reflection guide with the episode. And the only way you can get that is to sign up for CEO Summer School. It's totally free, but you do need to sign up if you want to get those bonus guides sent right to your inbox. So all you have to do that is go to desiid.com/summer school. As I was saying, this episode was going to be one of those just quick clips of say, hey, join me in CEO Summer School, and that is it. But it kind of became something else, and I've been percolating on it, and it originated really when I was laying in yoga class, and I was getting ready for the yoga class to begin and relaxing and settling in. And for some reason, I started thinking about this podcast that I knew I would need to record. And I noticed a lot of emotion present as I started to tune into my body. And it really came to me what this episode wanted to be about. And that is forced resets in both life and business. When I talk about a forced reset, I'm talking about times when you don't really have a choice but to be presented with change that makes you reflect. These are moments when you're presented with an opportunity to go inward and possibly reset. The moments of reprioritizing, of understanding who you are, what you want to create in this world, they are inevitable with a forced reset. Kind of like when you have way too many tabs open on the computer or too many programs running and the computer just freezes. And there's no other option but to press down on that power button, completely shut the computer off, and patiently, or maybe not so patiently, count to 10 before you hit that restart button. That is a forced reset. And these types of resets happen in our business. Maybe a major client project falls through, or a key employee leaves, or you find that the type of marketing that was working really well for you just isn't doing it anymore. Or maybe you've been working super hard toward a goal, and as you get closer, or maybe you achieve the goal, you realize it wasn't really what you wanted. Or even that you've maybe been pushing so hard, working over capacity for so long, and your body forces you to stop because you've pushed it beyond its limits for too long. You're forced to power down. You have to hit that reset button. These are going to happen in your business. And sometimes these forced resets are going to happen in your personal life. Someone in your family or a friend really needs you or needs you in a different way than they have before. And you want to be available to them and less available to the business or available in a different way to the business. It's possible that you receive a health diagnosis, maybe in a physical or mental form, that's going to impact how you approach your life and your business. There are so many times we either work ourselves into a forced reset, and I have definitely done that, and I'll share more on that later. But there's also times when circumstances that we would never choose come into our reality, and we're also forced to reset. And both of those are opportunities for reflection and redeciding and understanding ourselves better. And that's really one of my intentions for CEO Summer School, is to create this space for you to intentionally reset, to proactively reset, whether it's because circumstances in your life and business have changed and you've been avoiding looking at those new truths that you know are there, or maybe just kind of floating in the background. Or maybe you've been running your business on default for so long that you just don't even know where you're headed or if you like where you're headed. Or maybe you actually feel really good about where you're at, and it's still always a good idea to take a moment and reflect and be proactive about a reset to ensure that one's not forced upon you. This is what I'm calling you in to do this summer with me. I'm encouraging you to build in space, even just a little bit of it, because honestly, CEO Summer School is not going to take very long. But you have planned cycles of resets. It's like closing out those programs you're not currently using. It's like cleaning out the junk drawer before it starts to overflow. These are moments to be proactive in your business. Of course, though, there's things outside of our control. We can't control our outside circumstances no matter how hard we try. And sometimes forced resets are going to happen no matter how much journaling you do. And even when that happens, we can always set the intention to guide ourselves from that experience. That brings me back to yoga. You may or may not know that I do prepare these episodes in advance, at least a week in advance, but usually more because I like to be ahead of the game. So even though you're hearing this mid-June, I was prepping for it right around Memorial Day weekend. And this holiday weekend marks the beginning of summer. It has a celebratory tone for many people. And I have these associations with Memorial Day. While I also can't encounter a Memorial Day weekend without remembering a significant marker in a really difficult time in my life. This Memorial Day that has just passed marks 19 years of Memorial Days since my dad died. This was really the first major forced reset I encountered. And of course, this one that I'm describing is one that I had no control over. Forced resets can come in so many different ways. And in this case, it was 19 years ago when I was in my mom's kitchen. I was baking scones, and I was getting ready to take them into my very first day at my very first design internship at Designer's Studio. And that is when we got the call that my dad was no longer alive. I'll share that my dad had been struggling with addiction for a very long time. The majority of my growing up, probably even much longer than I even have had the capacity to understand. And at this point, when I was getting ready to reset in a different way of starting that professional piece of my education, his addictions had really taken hold. And at that time, I knew that it would probably, most likely, eventually end his life. But even when you see something coming, you never know the exact how or when. And in that way, it was really unexpected. And I really debated whether or not to share this piece of my history. That's definitely not what this podcast is about. And what I'm inviting you to do with the CEO Summer Schools is really engage in a proactive reset, right? So it's not like, oh, I hope some major life event happens and then you're forced to reset. But in the proactive resetting, in any way that we can, we support ourselves. And we also prepare ourselves for when those life circumstances do happen that send us into a forced reset. This moment when my dad died is really a major piece of my life. And so many of the experiences that have shaped who I am and how I show up in the world and where I struggle and where I succeed really have taken root from that forced reset. And the reason why this feels relevant right now is those big life-shaking moments are opportunities to reset. It's moments like that where you learn that anything can change in an instant. Your perception of the world shifts. You're different going forward. And you probably have no way to know the many ways that that event will influence your life for years to come. Of course, this is not the type of reset I hope you encounter, but it is the catalyst of me thinking about this topic and ways that I can support you in resetting. As I was waiting for that yoga class to start, I realized that in my personal experience, these moments of reflecting, going inward, and resetting, they fall in cycles, often in the summer months. And it's such a coincidence that this reset, CEO Summer School, I'd been planning behind the scene would also serve as a reset I've been feeling called toward. A proactive reset, and one that I want to invite you to join me in. When I look back at how I picked myself up after my dad died, well, it was incredibly challenging. It did create a pinpoint in my personal and professional timeline. There was a before and after. And at that point in my life, I was very good at pushing ahead, and I finished my interior design degree, went on to have another great internship, moved to Chicago for my dream job, and in many ways, forging ahead in ways that created some really great outcomes for me. But it did catch up with me. Eventually, I did have to reset. There was just so much stress and anxiety, and that's one of the things that I think sometimes we believe that pushing and perfectionism and striving serves us, and sometimes it does. But if it goes to the extreme or it goes on for too long, it stops serving us. After some time in Chicago, my husband and I moved to Minneapolis for the second part of his residency, and I really see that as another reset moment on that timeline. It was a new location, and when I look back, it really is the first time that I was able to give myself some space, whether because I had the time or the capacity. And I started running long distance. I would just run and run. And as I settled into the pace, I would have music playing, but when I got in the groove, I could start to hear my thoughts. I could start to watch my thoughts without believing I was all of those thoughts. And looking back, I can see that was really the beginning of self-awareness and personal development for me, and of tuning in to myself. It was where I started to develop a relationship with myself. There are so many other moments of reset that I can think of that have really impacted me over the years. Certainly, both the arrival of both of my children, those were moments of reset, which both looked very different in examining where I was headed and what I wanted. Those times when I was forced to reset and get honest with myself when I continued to take on design projects when I knew my heart just wasn't in it anymore. There have been multiple times last year where I hired and then was left to hire again because of assistants leaving for full-time positions that I just couldn't provide them with what my business needs. All moments of reset. I can think of reflecting on my business and having moments where I realized that I was following the advice of a business coach that no longer felt aligned and really caused a lot of internal tension for me. And without creating moments to intentionally reflect, without creating moments for myself regularly, I wouldn't have noticed that I was forcing myself to do something in a way that I just didn't want to do. And that would have stopped me from offering what I wanted to offer. And that would have stopped me from helping the people that I want to help. Earlier this year, my family was presented with another moment of before and after with my mom's diagnosis. And it's one of those moments where you look at what you really want. What matters right here, right now? And what does it mean going forward? Sometimes we're presented with these moments that bring life to a stop. We're forced to reflect. And sometimes the forced reflection comes from overworking, ignoring our own internal wisdom. And we don't need to have those external forces to create those moments of pause. It's so important for you as the CEO of your interior design business to create these for yourself. Resets sometimes will mean making different choices, but sometimes resets are just going back to exactly what you had or what you did with a redeciding of what you want is what you wanted to begin with. Sometimes resets bring about new ideas, Sometimes they bring about endings. And often these cycles of reset and reflection are resisted, one, because we think it takes too much time. But I guarantee you'll always come back with renewed energy in whatever direction you're supposed to take. The other reason I often see these cycles of resetting being resisted is because we are afraid to let go of what was, believing that that is the ultimate or the best of what is to come, versus releasing what was there to create something even greater. I'm inviting you to tune into what you and your business want and need alongside me inside CEO Summer School. You do not need to push yourself into a reset. You can choose to take one. It doesn't have to take time. It doesn't mean you have to go take a sabbatical or live like a monk. Incorporating these planned cycles of reset and reflection are going to help prevent the forced reset that we sometimes create for ourselves, and also create internal strength for when life throws us a big old curveball and we're forced to reset because of something completely out of our control. As the visionary behind your business, and you can be the visionary, whether it's just you or a firm of 10, let's create space for you this summer. Even if you have kids and you're running them all over the place, as am I, or taking time off, so your weeks are shorter, give yourself this time, because participating in CEO Summer School will not take long. All it really takes is a bit of intention. CEO Summer School is not about deep studying or massive action. Or maybe I could say it's about studying yourself. But we're not going to be studying hardcore lessons. We're not putting together a 10-page business plan that I'm going to expect you to execute while you're trying to host a pool party. CEO Summer School is a light lift with a big impact. And I encourage you to participate and set aside just 5 to 10 minutes every other week when these episodes release, because you need to see what's inside of you right now that wants to be seen, that wants to be heard in your business. I guarantee that you will walk into fall with new perspectives and insights you can apply directly to your business. Sometimes this is total clarity. Yes, this is where I'm headed for the rest of the year. This is the plan. I see it straight ahead. Sometimes it's the seeds of what's next, and you're planting those seeds and letting them germinate, and you're going to see which of those seeds sprout in the coming months. Sometimes it's more of a deep inner knowing that you're exactly where you're meant to be and you want to continue on just as you have. Whatever the questions I'm going to be posing for you in CEO Summer School reveal, they're all going to be useful and insightful and worthwhile for you to take a look at. We get started next week on June 19th, and we're going to run through the end of August. The episodes will be released on Wednesdays, just like a regular podcast episode, but you are going to want to do 2 things to participate. The first is follow the show, because if you don't, then you might miss the episode. And then the second thing is sign up so that you get the bonus reflection guide with every episode. CEO Summer School is totally free, but you do want to sign up so that you get the one-sheet guides that are going to include the key takeaways and a couple of bonus prompts for you to take what I share in the episode even deeper. You'll go to desiid.com/summer school to sign up. And then on the weeks where I'm not sharing the actual CEO Summer School content, I'm going to be sharing some of the past favorite episodes that are going to support one of the CEO Summer School lessons with a bit of a brand new take. What I thought this episode would be was a quick reminder to sign up for CEO Summer School, and I really hope that you do. But it ended up being very different than I thought it would be, because I paused. I paused in yoga, and I gave myself that space to get a little quiet. And I encourage you to do the same, to see what is going on in that beautiful brain of yours so that you can create your own intentional cycles of reset to serve you so much in your interior design business. That is what I have for you today. Again, follow along with the podcast and sign up for CEO Summer School at desiid.com/summer school. And until next Wednesday, June 19th, when we kick off, I'm wishing you a beautiful week. Have you ever wished I could be your coach? If so, keep listening. For a limited time, when you leave a rating and review for the podcast, you'll be entered to win a one-on-one coaching session with me. I can answer your questions and coach you on your unique challenges. All you have to do is scroll down to the bottom of your podcast app, tap the 5 stars, and leave a review. Tell me your favorite episode, why you look forward to listening every week, or why another designer needs to check out the show. It won't take long, and as a thank you for leaving a rating and review, you'll have the opportunity to win a private coaching session with me. Just click the link in the show notes to submit your review so I know how to get in touch. I can't wait to select a winner, and it might be you. I'll talk to you next week. Thanks for joining me for this week's episode of the Interior Design Business CEO. If you want more tips, tools, and strategies, visit www.desiCresswell.com. And if you're ready to take what you've learned on the podcast to the next level, I'd love for you to check out my signature group coaching program, Out of Overwhelm.